Ascension and anxiety and panic and heart palpitations and feeling sped up in the body and getting really hot and then getting really cold and feeling like you're losing your mind. This is what we're going to talk about today. There is a great piece of the ascension process that mirrors what we would call anxiety and panic. Now, I got to say all the things. Not a doctor, not a psychologist, not a naturopath, not a medical anything, not educated in anything but ascension through the wisdom of the things that I have learned as being an example of the ascension process. So now that we got that out of the way. If you are experiencing symptoms that sound and feel and are experienced as though it is anxiety and panic, it's time to get really, really, really clear with what's what. I'm going to show you and give you a couple of examples of the two things that could be happening. And it's important that through that inner exploration of what's really happening here, that you get very clear about how you narrate your ascension process. Because ascension in its organic way that it is perceived and experienced through the body can definitely look and feel like anxiety and not be anxiety at all. While the ascension process is also the giving up of control, which can create anxiety. So as the two weave each other together in the possibilities, getting really clear with yourself in every now moment of what's actually going on, meeting yourself appropriately and narrating it in truth is the key. So let's break it down. The ego's job is to keep you safe. The ego's job is connected highly to the nervous system, because if the ego or the nervous system discern that there is a bear, then you need your ego to get you out of there, and you need the nervous system to indicate to all the other parts of the body to create more adrenaline, more cortisol to help you run. In actuality, when you are in that type of fight, flight, or freeze response, the cerebral cortex that keeps you connected to logic, to wisdom, it shuts off because it's not needed at that point. At that point, the only thing that's required is how do we get the physical body to somewhere safe? So the ego's job is also to work with the physiology and the chemistry of the body and the nervous system and how the nervous system responds. The ego also, as the protector, needs life to be predictable and controllable in order for it to not perceive every single thing in your life as being that you are being chased by a bear. So with ascension, we are always evolving, which means the version of us that is in the now moment is always another version of us. As we heal our traumas and our wounds and our beliefs and our perceptions of ourselves and our perception of reality, we are changing. And therefore, our sameness and predictability that the ego needs in order to have control, it starts to dissolve, because in every now moment, you're making a different choice than you used to make because you're in a more healed place. You're a more evolved person now. So anxiety can very well be that the ego projects itself into the future, which is what the ego has always done. And now it can't perceive anything that is predictable or controllable. And the feedback is anxiety. I no longer have control. The future is no longer predictable. And I somehow can't seem to make my person do things the way they always did in order to make things feel predictable and controllable. So this is where anxiety comes from. Anxiety comes from living in the future, being oriented in the future, and then the ego not having its same tools that it used to always have in order to keep your life, your responses to life, and your decision making in a way that keeps it under control and makes it predictable. The other way that anxiety shows up is the natural state that the body is going through as a part of the ascension. So the ascension energies that are coming onto the planet and asking to engage with the body for the purpose of going in and clearing out the cellular memory, activating the crystalline nature, and turning on the DNA is that it has to pass through the nervous system. So we have very high frequency light that is meeting the body at a higher spin rate, and then it's coming into the body and engaging with the nervous system. And if you have any kind of a history whatsoever, or have been told that this is what anxiety looks like and feels like in the body, that sped up feeling, that out of control feeling, then you may be narrating your ascension that's happening in your body with, I have anxiety. I think I'm going to have a panic attack because here are my symptoms. And the list of symptoms that are very natural in the ascension process are also the same list of symptoms that come with anxiety and panic. My body feels sped up. I feel short of breath. I am experiencing heart palpitations, or my heart feels sped up. I feel really cold. I feel really hot. So I want to unpack some of these symptoms with you to help you understand that you'll have the information that you need in order to meet yourself in every now moment. That when you are having an experience, that you can go, wait a minute, it meets the list of anxiety, but it's not actually anxiety in this now moment. I think it might be the energies. There's just been a solar flare or an eclipse or whatever. Or I'm experiencing these list of symptoms, and I really think what it's about is that I'm about to step into a new version of myself. I've really been doing a lot of inner work, and now I'm going to have this certain conversation with someone that's going to look very different than the conversation I've had in the past. Just as an example of how you can meet yourself fully in the experience, and then from there unpack and discern what's actually happening so that you can meet yourself better and narrate it with more accuracy. So the sped up nature in the body is literally the spin of the frequency of energy that is coming into the body to do the ascension work is at a higher vibratory high vibratory spin than your body's natural state. That's the point. So it can make the body just generally feel sped up. It is electric. The energy that's coming in is electric, and it shocks the nervous system. Now, it doesn't shock it into not being able to work, but it's a little frying and frazzling to the nervous system. When you have heart palpitations, it could be that your heart rate is increased due to the increased spin and the electricity that's running in the body. But it can also be an activation to the thymus gland. The thymus gland is a butterfly-shaped gland that sits behind the heart. And it peaks at a certain age in childhood and then gets smaller and shrinks and deactivates through the aging process. Well, because we anti-age in Ascension, all of our glands, the amygdala, the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and the thymus gland all turn back on as a part of the ascension process, because we are not meant to age. So is it actually a heart issue, or is it that the thymus gland is being activated based on the information, the codes that are being presented to the body? You won't know that, but you can discern whether this is an ascension issue or a true anxiety issue. Feeling hot is the burning off of the old. Feeling cold is the integration of the new. So it can be both. Sometimes when the body is in that state of being sped up, you can find that your mind gets really racy, or that you have more of an ADHD type nature where you're doing one thing and then doing the other thing and then doing something else. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. As I observe myself, what is this that's going on in my body that's making me behave in this certain way? So I want you to just understand that while we do our healing work that dissolves the ego, and the ego is the thing that is keeping you in anxiety, even though anxiety is disharmonious to your natural state, to the ego it is natural, because that is the way that you operate. So there is a healing that's going on that side. Ascension is unknown. It's unknown to the ego. It's unknown to the body, although the body has everything that it needs in order to do that when you resource it properly. It's all an unknown, which also can trigger the ego. So I wanted to just sort of bring as much into this video as I possibly could to help you really understand what's going on when you determine that you have anxiety or panic. That the symptoms could be anxiety, but the symptoms could also be ascension. And even the symptoms that you think that you are having are not necessarily in the organs that you think you're having them in. So it's important to get medical advice. If you are ever, ever, ever unsure, do not bypass into spirituality and go, oh, this is just ascension. However, do not be surprised that there are a lot of medical professionals that are scratching their heads right now because they don't know what's going on with the physical body because medical science hasn't caught up with ascension yet. So there's a lot of different things at play here. It's important that you narrate your experience because garbage in when the garbage is being taken out is not purposeful. So if you are organically experiencing this as just a part of the way your body's responding to the energies, but you're calling it ascension, anxiety, then you're just programming more and more anxiety codes back into your body and your unconscious mind, which are going to need to be cleared out again later. Surrendering to this process in as many ways as often as you can, going within and just asking, like, this is something new I've never felt before. Am I okay? And trusting your intuition. If your intuition says that you're okay, then it's likely just an ascension symptom that you're experiencing. Know that your ego is going to respond, not in a great way, to absolutely every single part of this. And that's the work. Your ego is your protector. Your ego is a creation of your inner child. And loving it through this process so that it can bring itself back to its rightful place is your participation in all of this. While the energies coming onto the planet that interact with your body is the piece that's sort of being done for you, and surrendering and supporting your nervous system is how you get through that. So anxiety is going to be rampant. It is going to be sort of labeled as anxiety more and more by the more newer awakened ones and the ones that have been awake for a long time and have kind of done this rodeo a few times. We're going to be aware that this is what's going on, but we'll see it through the lens of the wisdom that this is just what my body does when ascension symptoms get a little bit more intense. So I hope that this video in its expansiveness has met everybody from I woke up yesterday to this is, my 10th time around the rodeo, in talking about anxiety, panic, and the natural organic ascension process that the body's going through. Feel free to ask me any questions you have in the comments. Until next time, bye for now.